What's good, y'all? And welcome to another preseason preview video. In today's video, we're going over the Los Angeles Lakers. In case this is your first preseason preview video of mine that you're seeing, basically what I do is recap all of the offseason moves and then look into the future and try to see what we can expect from this team. And before we get into it, I want to leave a reminder here to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. After this video, make sure you check out the link in the description. That'll bring you to a playlist of all the other teams that I've broken down already. And without further ado, let's get right into it and look at the additions the Lakers made this offseason. The Lakers had a relatively quiet offseason, but they did go out and draft the sharpshooter Dalton Knecht with the 17th overall pick. Now, I say relatively quiet because when you're dealing with the Lakers or a LeBron James team in general, you're expecting them to make big moves, big signings, big trades, especially this offseason considering there was the rumors that LeBron was going to take a pay cut if they could sign some big name guys. They didn't do any of that though. They didn't facilitate a trade. They didn't sign any big name free agents. They did go out and draft Dalton, like I said though, and they also made another big move, and that is hiring JJ Redick as their new head coach. And before we talk about Dalton, I do want to just talk a little bit about the hiring of JJ Redick. It seems like it is a very polarizing move. There's some people that are really focused on the fact that he has no basketball coaching experience in his entire career, and that is a valid point. A lot of these head coaches that we see in the NBA, they have been assistant coaches for 15 plus years, and then they moved up to being a G League head coach, and then they were at this program with this guy and this, and then they finally, after years and years and years, become a head coach. I could see why some people are kind of worrying a little bit about JJ because his highest coaching experience is coaching his son's AAU team, I think it was, and his son is about 8 years old. But at the same time, JJ has shown throughout his entire basketball career that he is a high IQ player, whether that was when he was at Duke or throughout his extremely long NBA career, even post-NBA career with his podcast, with his analysis of the game on ESPN and broadcasting. He has shown that he has a lot of basketball knowledge and that he has a very deep understanding of the game of basketball. And that gives me a little bit of hope, and I like him as a person. I think he'll be able to kind of, bounce off personalities of stars and different NBA players. I don't want to put any crazy expectations because I don't think that the Lakers are going to win a championship first year under JJ Redick, but I do think that he can add some stability at this head coach position, which the Lakers haven't had stability there for years now. And moving on from one sharpshooter to another, let's talk about the player acquisition the Lakers made this offseason, and that is, of course, drafting Dalton Knecht. I am pretty high on Dalton. I feel like he is basically the perfect rookie that the Lakers could have got, and he fell all the way down to 17 for them, which is a perfect scenario for the Lakers. Dalton was arguably the best shooter in this whole draft class, and when you're playing with LeBron James, one thing you can never have enough of is shooting. And then also when you just look at the Lakers roster, they need some shooting on their roster. I definitely think that Dalton will be in the rotation as a rookie. I definitely think he could be getting some heavy minutes and could have some pretty big games because he's one of those guys that can just catch fire and just knock down shot after shot after shot. And they have plenty of guys on the Lakers roster that will be able to get him the ball and get him those open looks. I know all the talk about this draft class was that it was very weak, but I do think there are a few players that can make some key contributions to their teams this season, and Dalton Knecht is definitely one of them. And now that we went over the additions the Lakers made this offseason, we got to take a look at the guys they lost this offseason. The Lakers did lose two key contributing role players this offseason, with Taurean Prince signing a new deal with the Milwaukee Bucks and Spencer Dinwiddie signing a deal with the Dallas Mavericks. When Taurean Prince signed his new contract with the Bucks, I saw a few Lakers fans that were pretty excited that he wasn't going to be back, and that confused me a little bit because I thought Taurean Prince played pretty well throughout the whole regular season. I know when it came to the playoffs, things got a little bit different, but I mean, pretty much the whole Lakers roster dropped off a little bit in the playoffs. But I really liked what he brought defensively, giving them length at the wing position, and then shooting the ball. He shot almost 40% from three. And like I was just talking about with Dalton Knecht, you can never have enough shooting with LeBron James on your roster. And then Spencer Dinwiddie too, I know he came in as a buyout guy and he didn't play the full season here in LA, but when he was there, he gave them some pretty good minutes. I feel like his loss could slightly be felt a little bit more than Taurean just because Spencer was able to come out there and give the Lakers another ball handler to put on the court. His playmaking was pretty decent with the Lakers, and then he shot the three ball pretty well. I know historically and for his career, Spencer Dinwiddie has never been a knockdown shooter. Before the Lakers, he was shooting around like 37-38%, which is pretty solid. Overall, it's not the end of the world, but I was just a little bit surprised the Lakers just let these guys go. And now that we have an idea of what this team could look like, let's take a look at a potential rotation. The starting lineup stays the same as last year, as we see D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And then off the bench, we see mostly familiar faces as well, with Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes. Looking at their starting five, on paper, it looks very solid. It doesn't look like they're missing much. And when the Lakers finally set their starting five to be that five there about halfway through the season, things started to get better and they started to win more and look like a better, more complete basketball team. So starting off now with obviously the new head coach and everything, starting off with this starting lineup throughout the whole 82-game season, hopefully we could see a little bit more improvement. And I know there was rumors that the Lakers were looking to trade D'Angelo Russell this offseason, which I was a little bit shocked by. Again, kind of like what I was saying with Taurean Prince. I know when the playoffs came, everyone kind of fell down a little bit in play, role player wise, but D'Angelo Russell, I like what he brings to this team. He is a ball handler, which on this roster right now, they don't really have too many of. He's a terrific playmaker. I don't know if terrific, but he's an above average playmaker, and I feel like, besides LeBron James, he's the second best playmaker on this roster. And then shooting the three ball, especially last year, he was lights out. Again, I know in the playoffs, it left a sour taste in everyone's mouth, but still, you can't find those three qualities in many point guards in the NBA. And I kind of like the 1-2 punch that him and Austin Reeves have on this team because, D'Lo is more of the perimeter guy. Like I said, he's got the jump shot down. He's more of a break you down type of guy. Austin Reeves, on the other hand, though, he wants to take you to the basket, get you there, and hit a tough lay, get to the free throw line. He really lives in the paint more, while D'Lo's more the perimeter guy. So I feel like it's a good change of pace. Austin Reeves also is a good playmaker, or a solid playmaker, good handler of the ball, and can kind of run some point guard minutes. But overall, I kind of like their dynamic together. And then that third starter next to LeBron and AD, Rui Hachimura, I really like what he brought too. Again, we're only looking at the regular season here, but he was a great three-level scorer, can shoot the three ball, catch and shoot. The mid-range he was able to get to, finishing at the rim incredibly well. I think he shot like over 80% at the rim or something crazy like that. He all around as a scorer, I know he started the season off being like a six-man type of role, but even when he got into that starting lineup with these other guys that need the ball in his hands, he was still able to produce very well and at a high level. I really like what he brings. Also has great size at the small forward position, can also run a little bit of power forward too. But when you're talking about a lineup of those three guys plus LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I feel like it should be really, really good, and I'm very confident in that starting five. I know when we just saw that starting five in the playoffs, it did not look good whatsoever, but I feel like that kind of is an outlier, I guess you could say. Like, I know D'Angelo Russell is not a 31% three-point shooter like he was in the playoffs. I know Rui Hachimura is able to knock down these shots. I know Austin Reeves is able to be more efficient than what he was. And I feel like it was just, I don't know, bad luck maybe. I don't really know what it is, but looking at this starting five on paper, it should have been way better than what they shown on the court. And I feel like the key word that I should be saying for this whole roster is consistency. That's what I'm looking for from this Lakers team and from these players. You can't have a game where D'Lo hits 7 threes and then he's 1 for 9 and then he's 2 for 6, but then he jumps back up and went 6 for 7. Like, he can't have that. We need just a little bit of consistency here, not so much of a difference between your highs and your lows. Now that we have an idea of what this team looks like, let's take a look at one of their biggest strengths. Sometimes it really is this simple. The Lakers' biggest strength is the fact that they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis both on their roster right now. Just looking at their numbers from last season, you could see the insane impact both of these players have. In case you noticed why I wasn't talking about LeBron James and Anthony Davis in last segment, it's because I was saving it all for here. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but in my eyes, Anthony Davis and LeBron James are still the best duo in the entire NBA, and it's been like this for the whole 2020s so far. Both of these guys are arguably top 10 to top 15 players in the NBA, And like I said, like you just saw in those numbers, their impact is felt on both sides of the court for the Lakers. Starting off with Anthony Davis, last season he had one of his best and healthiest seasons since becoming a Los Angeles Laker, and that's been a big struggle for Anthony Davis, the health. And when he is healthy, we could see how great of a player he is, especially defensively. There are a few players in the NBA that give him a run for his money, but I am confidently saying that Anthony Davis is the best defender in the whole NBA. Versatile, can protect the rim like no other, guard multiple positions. There's not much he can't do on the defensive side of the basketball. He can roam around the paint, he can guard in the post, he can guard out in space, he can block your shot, he can get the steals and deflections. Like I said, there's nothing this man cannot do defensively. And then also when you look offensively, he is a serious interior force. The pick and roll between these two is damn near unstoppable. Great lob threat, can create his own shot off the post too. And then on top of all of this, he is consistently one of the league's top rebounders, probably in that top 5 range majority of the time. And then somehow still at 40 years old, LeBron is still producing at an all NBA level, which still blows my mind every time I think about it. He damn near is half the Lakers offense. In transition, he still is one of the best, if not the best player in the NBA there. His strength is still there, his speed is still there, the quick burst to just get out in front of the defense and finish at the rim, it's all still there. The playmaking, I mean, I don't really think I need to talk too much about LeBron James and his playmaking. He sets up these guys in perfect positions to score. His own scoring still is incredible. He's still able to get to the rim somehow and just kind of barrel through bodies, get there and lay it up, or get to the free throw line. And then this last season, he even added his three-point shot, got it up to 41%, while shooting like over 5 attempts per game too. Like, oh, how do you guard this? When you have 2 players of these guys' caliber and these guys' level, you have no idea how high the ceiling can be. Honestly, the ceiling could be championship just based off the talent of these two alone. But it's very frustrating to see the last few seasons how the Lakers have done their roster construction, because in my eyes, it hasn't really been the best to elevate these two. And that is a very easy transition to this next segment where we're going to talk about the Lakers' biggest weakness. Here you can see the points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks per game of the Lakers bench from last season. This does not include Dalton Knecht, who was not on the team and was not in the NBA just yet, but this does include the stats of Max Christie, Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes. As you can see by the numbers, the Lakers are getting very limited help from their bench. When I think back to the bubble when the Lakers won their last championship with LeBron and Anthony Davis and kind of just compare the roster construction, it genuinely makes me sad. When you look at that team, coming off their bench, they had guys like Kuzma, they had Rondo, Alex Caruso, Dwight Howard. They had plenty of guys coming off their bench that are high-level role players. Now when you look at these guys, no disrespect to any of them, it's just night and day. And if you go down the line of all of these guys that are going to be coming off their bench, there are some real question marks across the board. Starting off with Max Christie, he never has had a consistent role in the NBA yet, so I don't really know what to expect from him. I know in college he projects to be a good shooter. Last season he really wasn't too much, you know, he was below league average. I know he projects to have some decent shot creation. We haven't really seen too much of that yet in today's NBA. Dalton Knecht literally is a rookie, so, you know, hypothetically we have no idea what we're gonna get. I personally am very confident in him. He is one of the pieces that I am the most confident in coming off their bench. But still, at the same, idea, you don't want to have a rookie be one of your most important bench pieces. I feel like that's a lot of pressure to put on a guy that's just getting to the NBA. Cam Reddish, I know a lot of people love Cam Reddish. I know a lot of people hate Cam Reddish. I do value what he brings defensively, and with his size at 6'8", he has great size for the wing and can compete. But offensively, man, he is a negative. He cannot hit a jump shot to save his life. His creation is pretty sloppy too. He'll turn the ball over and stuff. Jared Vanderbilt sits in a very similar category as Cam Reddish because he is great defensively. He has great size. I really like the rebounding that he brings to the hustle overall. But offensively, he's pretty much a negative. He can't knock down a jump shot either. I'm a little bit more confident in Vando just because he can operate a little bit more in that dunker spot or as a cutter. I like him more as a finisher compared to Cam Reddish, and also defensively, I like him a little bit better than Cam Reddish. But still, there's these question marks. Jackson Hayes, I think, is decent to solid a little bit as your backup center. I like his athleticism. I like that he's just a rim runner. But beyond that, you don't really get too much production from him. And when you take out Anthony Davis and insert Jackson Hayes, the drop off is immense. So between the very lackluster bench that they have and the inconsistencies that their role player starters have shown, I feel like this could shape up to be a pretty disappointing season for LA. And now it is time for the fan segment, and here representing the Los Angeles Lakers, I got my boy Steph, also known as TrillBuckets. For those of you who aren't already subscribed to him, make sure you check out that link in the description. Puts out great NBA content. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Always, bro, always. Whenever you need me on, just let me know and I'm here.
Yes, sir. Hopefully first of many collabs between us. But we might as well jump right into it. In my eyes, the Lakers kind of had a little bit of a underwhelming offseason, but I'm still interested to see what you think is, what's your thoughts on it. And I'm interested to see what's your favorite move that they made.
So my favorite move is probably signing Max Christie to more of a long-term deal. I know we haven't talked too much, but I'm one of those more cynical Laker fans. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm ready for the LeBron era to kind of end, just so I can see a more development kind of team going forward. And signing Max Christie, I think that was a positive sign for the future. They're thinking about the future after Bron. And that's not to say I want Bron gone now, just more so making sure the team is looking toward the future, because that's something we've made a mistake of even back to the Kobe days. So that Max Christie signing, it was 4-year, 32 mil. One of my favorite signings, because it told me either you're here or we're just building towards the future. So that was one of my favorite deals that we did this offseason.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of along that same line of young players and stuff. My favorite was the drafting of Dalton Connect. I feel like he kind of fits the team perfectly. When you have LeBron on your team, you can't get enough shooting. And then when you talk about the Lakers last season, that was something you guys seemed to kind of struggle with, especially when it came playoff time. And when you're talking about pure shooters, Dalton Connect is probably the best out of this draft class. So I really like the fit that he can have on this team. I think he can have an impact now and then also leading forward into his career for years to come. Also, I want to give a shout out to the head coach signing of JJ Redick. I like that move. I think he could be a solid head coach in the NBA. I don't want to put too much expectation in year one on him, but overall, I kind of like him, coming into the Lakers. I like that new look.
100%. I like with the JJ signing. I'm gonna be honest. At first, I was like, I don't really like it, but going forward, especially after the podcast with Bron, it made me feel like not only can those two gel very well, but I already know JJ has had his eye and had his finger on the pulse of the NBA. So with that said, I'm not scared with regard to, the things he has going forward. Of course, we're probably going to get to a rocky start to start off the year. He has no coaching experience. That's expected. But he's one of the few guys in that coaching department in terms of who they were looking at that I thought, okay, I know he's kept his eye on the NBA and how it's gone going forward. So I think the way that he's kept his pulse on the youth and on the NBA is going to help us going forward. I think even after Bron's gone, we could potentially keep him, and having him to nurture those young guys, it would be all the difference in the world.
Yeah, for sure. I know there was a report that came out that said that the Lakers viewed him with Pat Riley potential, which I know is a lot to kind of say, but it kind of lets you know at least they are thinking about him for like being on the Lakers and being the head coach of the Lakers for years to come, which is a good sign considering you guys have been just cycling through head coach recently.
Yeah, carousel.
Moving on to this next question though, I'm interested to see, because with the Lakers, I feel like it's kind of hard to really be underrated, but I want to know who you think is the most underrated on the roster right now.
The underrated piece on the team that I like personally, and like you said, there's not really much underrated about the Lakers, but Blake Henson, I think that pickup went under the radar a lot. And if you go back to the summer league and watch some of his game, good 6'8" guy, about 240, 250 pounds. He moves very well for his size, and he can shoot the ball pretty well. Now, of course, we don't really play young guys too early. Obviously, Max Christie, Don Connect, they'll probably get more burn. But if we can see Blake Hinson in those early stages in the season, I think he might get to that point where it's like, oh, he's a surprise rookie, a guy you didn't think would be able to come along the way that he has. And personally, I think that Summer League, what I saw in Summer League, it shows room for growth. And despite despite the popular belief that Bron doesn't make his teammates better, Bron's for sure gonna make these guys better. He almost has to at this point. These guys are young. They're gonna have to figure out their way in the league. And if he wants to win, like we're supposed to be doing, he's gonna have to make those guys better. And I think Blake Hinson is one of those where him and Dalton Connect, we gonna see some flashes from those two.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, I know it's kind of hard to crack that rotation initially, like you were just saying before. When I was thinking about this question, I was like I said, it's kind of hard because I don't feel like there's anyone that's really like super underrated on this roster. But I had to give a shout out to Jared Vanderbilt. I know he was dealing with a bunch of injuries last season and couldn't really stay on the court, couldn't get that consistent role. But the year before that, when you guys made that deep playoff run and everything, he was a very vital piece to that. You know, you talked about size before. Jared Vanderbilt brings some size there. The defense, the rebounding, the hustle, a lot of great qualities. And a lot of those qualities are some that I look for in players. And he checks all those boxes. Obviously, the offense is a little bit shaky, so we'd want it to be a little bit better. But what he brings defensively, I feel like it's going to be able to get him onto the court. Hopefully, he could stay healthy, maybe ramp up, you know, get a little bit more of a jump shot going or something on offense. And you know, I just feel like he could have a really big impact if you guys do end up getting back to that contending level.
That's a fact. And I mean, before he really got hurt, not to say he was knocking them down too much, but he was shooting the ball and he was shooting them with some confidence. And as many of us knows, when it comes to shooting, a lot of it has to do with your confidence. We've seen guys just be terrible shooters who might have been good shooters in the past that their confidence just waned. So, you know, if he continues to be able to get them up with confidence, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm one of those guys where if it looks good in the air, more often than not, you'll start to come along with the shooting because you know, there's some guys where they put the ball up and it's immediately like, that's off. So I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And then lastly, before we get you out of here, what are your expectations for the Lakers? I feel like the Lakers are one of these teams that you can have super high expectations. You could be super low on them. I'm really interested to see from your fans' perspective, where's your head at for the Lakers?
So I'm a very middle ground guy when it comes to just my fandom in general, but this year specifically, I can see our ceiling being second round, maybe conference finals, and our floor being play-in, and then we sneak in there at the 7th, 8th seed. But I do expect to be in the playoffs at the very least, at least win that first round. Now that's gonna be tough, especially because we know the West has gotten better top to bottom, so it will be very tough. But again, you got LeBron. And I don't know if people have paid attention, but AD last year was a dog. Dude was a bona fide top 10 guy. You could maybe even go even higher if you start to break down the list a little bit. But if we get the AD that we saw in the past and he's healthy, that's all the difference for us. I would like to see that point where LeBron truly goes into more of a facilitator role and then starts to take over in the back half of the season. That way we get some guys going early, then second half LeBron and AD can do their thing as they do. And I mean that could be a recipe for success for us, especially with the kind of guys we have on our team. Hopefully Gabe Vincent comes along and I think we'll be okay. But to answer the question specifically, I expect at the very least a first to second round playoff berth.
For sure. I feel like, you know, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but when you have LeBron James and you have Anthony Davis on your roster, the expectations are going to be there and the potential is going to be there. It's more about actually executing on the court and getting there. I appreciate you coming on, though, man. Thank you so much. Like I said, guys, if you're not already, make sure you check out his YouTube channel. Link in the description right now. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anytime, bro.
And now it is time to talk about my ceiling, floor, and expectations for the Los Angeles Lakers. Starting off with their ceiling, I have them being as high as the 6th seed. This would have them just narrowly escaping the play-in tournament, which I know they definitely don't want to be a part of again. I just cannot see a world where they are much better than the 6th seed, respectfully. A lot of these teams that are above them are significantly better than them roster-wise. I'm giving them a lot of slack here because they do still have LeBron and Anthony Davis, and with those two on the roster, I mean, I guess anything really is possible, but man, it's gonna be tough. When it comes playoff time, though, LeBron knows how to turn it up. Anthony Davis knows how to turn it up. It really just falls on if their role players and surrounding supporting pieces cannot fall off a cliff like they did last season. If they don't, I could see them maybe pulling off an upset and winning a first round matchup. If they do end up falling off the cliff, though, I mean, man, they could get packed up in the first round pretty quick. Then when you talk about the floor for the Lakers, I could see them being as low as the 10th seed. This would make it really, really difficult for them to make the playoffs because they would have to win 2 play-in tournament games. Again, with LeBron and Anthony Davis, anything is really possible. So I could see them doing that and sneaking in at the 8th seed. That leaves them with a very uphill battle of the 1-8 matchup, and I don't think they would be able to pull that off. So that means that they would be first-round exits. My expectations for the Lakers, though, is probably sitting around that 8th seed. I do think that they would be a play-in team again. I just feel like the surrounding pieces just are not up to par with the rest of the Western Conference, especially in a super deep Western Conference. I would have them winning their play-in tournament game and making the playoffs as the 7th or 8th seed. But again, that's a really uphill battle, and I feel like they will be a first-round exit this season. What about you guys, though? Let me know in the comments below where you think the Lakers will fall in this year's standings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.